Come and dream with me.
Welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Exposure Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together, talk about movies, TV, and online content. Hope you answer the question, is there anything funnier this week than David Fincher being confused as to why people are applauding for so long at the end of The Killer's premiere at the Venice Film Festival? Probably, but I can't think of it. I'm your host, Ash Lobley. Joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Why did they do it for so long?
Because that's the thing that Europeans do. They do standing ovations for a longer period of time.
But it's not actually good for your hands, you know.
Tell me about it. You know, we were at that wrestling event a week or so ago. Hands hurt after that.
What's it clapping up, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, apparently he tried to leave during the applause.
He's like, I got places to be, man. Like,
yeah. I've already seen this movie. I know.
Understandable. Yeah.
Didn't even sit through the credits, so yeah, that's pretty. On today's episode of What Do You Want to Watch, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, going over some film news, giving some thumbs to trailers, and giving you this week's top 3. Kicking things off, I've went and seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, the latest in the Ninja Turtle franchise. Of course, it's been in America for a long period of time. Finally releasing here in Australia on Thursday, based on a story by Seth Rogen, Brendan O'Brien, Evan Goldberg, Jeff Rao, with Jeff Rao directing, telling a very... It definitely feels like the Ninja Turtles, but definitely with a different flair and feeling about it. Obviously, much has been made of. They got actual teenagers to voice the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this time. So they've got a lot of young kids giving... it definitely feels like a bunch of teenagers. And sometimes they just do dumb shit. And that's really, really enjoyable to watch. It's definitely a new take on some of the lore of the Ninja Turtles, which I think is fine, because obviously this is a franchise that's been reinvented, like, I want to say 4 or 5 times at this point. Like, there's been various iterations of the TV show, animated shows. Then, of course, there was the old live-action movies, and then there was the Michael Bay movies, and then they had an animated movie. Now they got this animated movie. So yeah, the Ninja Turtles, just sort of getting used to the real world. They grew up in the sewers. Master Splinter, voiced by Jackie Chan in this, and he's fantastic. He's very scared of humans and doesn't want them to go into the human world, but they're these young kids and young turtles, but they kind of are drawn to the world of humans and want to be out there, even though they kind of experience it from the shadows and that kind of stuff. And then they happen to come across April O'Neil, voiced by Ed Berry, who's in pretty much everything at the moment, who they rescue her scooter, which gets stolen after they accidentally throw a ninja star into her helmet. She gets distracted. So they come up with a plan. They're going to stop this big crime syndicate that's happening throughout the city. Then everybody will think they're heroes, and then they'll be cool with them being mutant turtles, and they'll just let them go to high school, which is what they want to be. So, this is really fun. I had a really good time. Lots of funny jokes. I sympathize for whoever was doing the transcripts for the subtitles, because these kids, they just talk over there's so much crosstalk over the top of each other. It's like, how are you supposed to put that up on the screen? That's like difficult. And I hadn't thought of that until this movie. And then you've got Superfly, played by Ice Cube, is the big bad, who's like a big mutant fly. And of course, if you've seen all the trailers, you saw all the different mutants that are involved. There's like so many mutant characters that have been in the lore of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But probably the standout is Mondo Gecko, voiced by Paul Rudd. He's just he's a lot of fun. It is a really enjoyable time. I think it's maybe it felt a little bit short. That would be my thing. I feel like I wanted more. I guess is that I feel like maybe we didn't get enough of the mutants. We didn't get enough of them being Ninja Turtles. But we do get some really cool action sequences throughout the movie, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, I found it really enjoyable. I'm excited for other people to go watch it, and excited at the potential of a sequel. Animation wise, it's got that really interesting style, like that. I think from one of the behind the scenes things they said it's like meant to be like a high school student, like as if they're drawing in their notebook kind of style. Um, so yeah, really enjoyable, very funny. Definitely worth checking out in cinemas. So that releases in cinemas this Thursday. So you should all rush out and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Dylan, you watched Reality, starring Sydney Sweeney.
Reality, yeah. I really we watched.
This
This
is a
is a
trailer.
trailer, wasn't it? We watched. This is a trailer. We're at that stage now where I feel like we've been doing that segment for long enough that I could, like, with a lot of the stuff we're starting to watch from trailers we're watching now. So Reality is a movie directed by Tina Satter based on their own play. So they've adapted their own work into the film, wrote the script for it again, and then directed it. It is taken directly from the script, or no, not script, the transcript of the real world FBI tape that they had of Reality Winner, who is a now former American intelligence specialist who leaked a bunch of stuff to do with Russia's interference in the 2016 election. So the movie's sort of all primarily, I guess, just one setting, which is like the movie starts, tapes turned on, you see the FBI dude knocks on the window of Reality as she pulls up at a house, and then it's just from then on, like how it plays out. It's not. It definitely doesn't have. I really enjoy it. It's 100% an acting. It's not like the film was made for this, but it is a very good acting showcase for Sydney Sweeney. Because it's mostly just her talking to the couple FBI agents, and the entire film rides on her shoulders and her ability to portray this quote unquote character, this real person, and get across I guess because at first she's very like, she seems very chill, but then obviously as the events unfurl and she realizes she's not going to be able to like sort of talk her way out of it, and the stress and the overcoming sadness and all these other sorts of elements that play out. Sydney Sweeney is definitely very, very good in this. It's not a film to watch if you want a more like overview on everything that happened to Reality Winner. Sorry. Reality Winner. When she like everything that happened after this or before this, or like what shaped her so much as a person. The film does like every now and then flicks away to something else, like she's remembering something like a couple times to help add context to scenes and her past and stuff like that. It is just this one setting and this one event and like this one key moment in her life and how it all comes together when the FBI knock on her door, sort of thing. But there are also documentaries and stuff you can watch if you want to go that deep dive. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not even 90 minutes. It's like an hour 20 something as well. So it's not like stretched out. It's literally like, here's how it happened. This is it,
All right. And then you also watched Sweet As, a movie that we gave away tickets to earlier this year.
I love watching movies we gave away tickets to that I can watch in the cinema. Sweet As, really enjoyed it. Australian film, sort of about this group of teenage kids who, the Mura is the lead character. She's sort of, so the film starts with her she's got a mum who's like a drug addict, basically, having a lot of issues there at home. has caused her to get into issues and sort of act out, steal some stuff from shops and stuff. She's getting into trouble, and she's basically put on this by her uncle, who says, "Hey, there's this thing I've organized for you because it's better than the alternatives that we could be going through down here, which is you're going on this trip, this photography sort of road trip thing that's put together. So it's her and three other kids who are each there for different reasons. They're not all like troubled kids, like it's not all like that sort of thing. One of them is dealing heavily with depression and is sort of on there, I think of as like the parents put him on there as a, hopefully this will help you, I don't know, meet people, feel better. I don't, like it's not all like these are all kids who are robbing shops and stuff like that. It's just that sort of thing. So it's sort of a mixed bunch of people. They all head out in this trip. There's the sort of the leader, I guess, of the group as well. Like there's two adults, leader of the group, who's like driving the bus for the most part, and then I didn't realize Carlos Sanson Jr. is in this and plays who is one of the main characters from Bump. Plays Santi in Bump. So, and of course, really, I'm a big fan of Bump. So, he's the other adult on the trip, and he's the like photography expert. He's like the photography passion person who's there to like pass on this love of photography and everything. Beautifully shot film. It gives you sort of both that you would sort of expect, which is the, hey, here's some beautiful photography of barren Australian landscapes, like which to a degree you sort of like I've seen this before, but then also has a lot more than that, like it's a mix of like rural towns and stuff like that, suburban sort of back end towns and all these sorts of elements and stuff. But I really enjoyed the characters as well. I enjoyed the all four having very different backstories and not really liking each other for different reasons, but having to sort of work together to and learning to like each other across this trip. There's the added in element of Indigenous history for Australia across different parts of the traveling to different elements. The fact that two of the kids are Indigenous, and they're getting to share, I guess, their background or like their culture with the two white kids is also quite good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very well made, put together film. So would have preferred to watch it on the big screen, but fuck me, man.
Yeah. All right. I watched a documentary that just released on Disney Plus called The Jewel Thief. So it follows a gentleman called Gerald Blanchard, who grew up. He was born in Manitoba, Canada, but grew up in.
No, sorry.
He's actually from Winnipeg. So he, but did a lot of growing up in Omaha, Nebraska. And as he was growing up, he started to videotape himself doing crimes, like starting off with like basic shoplifting from different stores. They would go to what's the name of the Radio Shack and like just steal stuff to the extent where one Easter Sunday they got a full like moving truck and like stole everything from Radio Shack. I don't know how he was doing it, but that and documenting it all. So and he kept all this footage, so he be able to. All that footage is part of this documentary. He eventually gets caught for certain crimes and moves to Canada or gets deported to Canada, where he then proceeds to escalate his thieving habitry into stealing from banks and performing other crimes. And then it kind of becomes like a catch me if you can kind of situation where there's these couple of cops in Manitoba or Winnipeg who are trying to solve this bank heist. But this guy is like, he's stealing all this money and he's traveling all around the world and all that kind of stuff. The documentary documents his life, the heist that he performed, different insight from different people and who he came across, like a lot of the detectives in the case. He is actually a focal point. He is actually interviewed as part of the documentary and that kind of stuff. So lots of things from his perspective. Of course, he appears to be a little bit of an unreliable narrator because a lot of people like dispute a lot of the facts that he gives to the documentary crew. Like just like basic stuff like the police took me in and there was a bunch of press. And it was like, nah, there was no press there. It was like nobody was around. But yeah, some of the crazy things he pulled off are pretty amusing to listen to. Um, the It's interesting because it's called the jewel heist or the jewel thief. He stole only one jewel, as far as I can tell, or is documented in the documentary. He stole what was called the Sissy Star, which was one of 27 diamond and pearl hair ornaments worn by Elizabeth of Moravia, consort of Francis I from Skolbern Palace in Austria. So apparently it's a big heirloom in Austria and he just stole it. So yeah. I thought it was a really interesting documentary. He's a weird dude. It's cool that they've got a lot of footage and audio logs and that kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff that to follow along and kind of be in the time and place of the things happening and that kind of thing. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. Then I also watched the documentary Happy Happy Joy Joy, the Ren and Stimpy story, which is a documentary that kind of explores the rise and fall of Ren and Stimpy. Now, Dylan, from memory, not a Ren and Stimpy fan. No.
Not really.
Did you used to say it like scared you as a child?
It was weird.
Yeah. From what I could tell, that was on purpose. So yeah, kind of follows the creator of the show, John Falusi, John K, who had a troubled childhood, had a very strict father, fell in love with the cartooning, created these characters. He met up with he shopped a bunch of his ideas to different networks for Saturday morning cartoons. None of them really wanted it. He came across Nickelodeon like just as the Nicktoon thing was starting to happen. They were just trying to get their own original programming onto the channel. And he came in with another show, but the executive liked the designs of Ren and Stimpy. So they pulled those designs and then they made that their own show and they developed that. And like Ren and Stimpy was a massive hit. It like did ridiculous numbers, was really popular with not only kids but adults.
Kids.
It was like very well animated. Like there's some of the footage is like still looks really fantastic because they were doing like these really crazy stills where it was like really realistic close-ups of something disgusting, like someone's feet or like a giant pimple on their foot or stuff like that. And like that mostly came from John Kay, who wanted to kind of push the boundaries as far as he possibly could with animation and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, eventually he came to loggerheads with everybody. He had like he was too controlling, I guess is the best term to describe it, and was falling behind on deadlines and going over budget and like didn't want to. They only had to make like 10 episodes or something, and he wasn't able to do that because he would just keep things, make him reanimate stuff and redo stuff, and eventually, he was eventually fired and taken off the show. But yeah, it kind of that kind of you examine like all the animators who worked at the studio and how they felt about how all that kind of stuff happens. So that explores like probably like 2/3 of the film. Final third delves into his relationship that he had with a 16-year-old girl, a 14-year-old girl. What was making?
Oh, it went down.
So
I thought number would go up, but
no. Who was a fan, and they kind of like exchanged letters, and then he started to get into a relationship with her. A pattern that seemed to follow on once she lost interest in him, and it kind of like it's weird because he's obviously involved in he's involved in the documentary, so like he's interviewed, giving his side of the story as well as she's in it giving her side of the story. Yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable and hard to watch, and kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth. So yeah, if you ever wonder what happens to the creator of Ren and Stimpy, that's what happens. Yeah, it's kind of very messed up.
I haven't wondered.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
So thanks for
Interesting watch. Interesting to hear the girl who's now like much older saying that she is, although
so.
she doesn't want fans of the show to like cut it out of their childhood just because she's has got her own experience with the thing or whatever, which I think is always interesting to hear from the actual people, the victims of these kind of things, like how they feel about the material and that kind of stuff. But yeah, interesting watch. Dylan, you finished watching Pokemon Path to the Peak, the 4-episode long animated series on the Pokemon YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, the Pokemon app. Keep it short, sweet. It's very good. I'd suggest watching it if you want some cute, wholesome Pokemon stuff. I think 10 minutes an episode, so you know, doesn't take that long if you want to binge it all. Surprised how good it. Again, I'll say it again. I don't know if it's like a catch or I said it here, but surprised how well the animation was and just the overall quality of it, considering it was it's a free thing. There's nothing super crazy here as far as themes or anything, but it's wholesome nonetheless. It literally is this young girl getting into the Pokemon trading card game, making friends along the way. Eventually, she makes her way to Worlds and you know meet some people, and you know it has some quite a few funny scenes involving her father throughout the series that have legitimately made me laugh out loud. So yeah, I would definitely suggest checking it out. It's just fun.
Awesome. All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. The big release of the week has been One Piece, the live-action adaptation of the long-running, much-loved manga and anime series of the same name, following Monkey D. Luffy, a young boy who ate devil fruit that caused him to become super stretchy and almost like he's made of rubber, who wants to become the king of the pirates in a world where there are pirates.
It'd be weird if he wanted to become king of the pirates and there was a world where
there wasn't pirates. And they're searching for the One Piece, which is the massive treasure that was all left in One Piece by the former king of the pirates. Of course, sketchy track record when it comes to live action adaptations of anime and manga, especially in the West. Dylan, as someone who doesn't like anime, what did you think of One Piece? How much have you actually watched of the show?
The anime or this?
This.
We've got 2 episodes left.
Or both, I guess.
None of the anime. Never watched
None of
anime
the
in my life.
Coming in fresh.
I know what One Piece is, though, of course. It's massive, one of the biggest animes in the world. Over 1,000 episodes? No, thank you. I really enjoying the anime, the Netflix series though. So yeah, I've got what am I? 6 hours, 8? Does that seem right? I got 2 episodes left. Yep.
Yep.
Really, really enjoying it. I think it's definitely coming off the back of how much I really did not enjoy Cowboy Bebop and thought that was just trash. As Ash shakes his head, but yeah, that show was just terrible.
It a chance, Dylan. Give it a chance.
The Death Note movie, terrible, and I like that director. You know, like the anime adaptations just don't have a particularly good run. The only live action ones I've ever enjoyed was the Japanese Death Note adaptations, which I didn't think were terrible. But otherwise, live action's usually trash. I really want to watch. I still have never got around to it. By the way, I really want to watch the Japanese Full Metal Alchemist as well, though, because people say that one's alright. I think, right?
I think I watched the first one of those movies. I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, so I think people say those.
The moment that everybody gets sad about is in there, and it works.
Okay. So
with the Chimera.
Okay. Check it out. Attack on Titan apparently shit. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is good. This is a lot of fun. I think that the key aspect here is that they've kept the loud, ridiculous at times characters, what the core elements from the anime. I remember watching the trailers of this and just thinking, this ain't gonna work. This looks dumb. This looks like they're trying too hard, which is what the problem was with Cowboy Bebop. They just committed too hard to getting the anime ishness and the anime quirks instead of telling a good and interesting television show. And it just failed horribly. And then they canceled it after one season. So, that went so far for them. Whereas this, they've toned things down to make it work. Like I just really like how it's like, okay, you have a character who's stretchy. How do you make that work? And I think they do magically somehow make it work. You've got characters like whenever the fighting's happening, it's like, well, you have to tone down the fighting because any fighting in anime is just super fast, over the top, highly graphic. Like because they're adapting manga most of the time, and manga is comic and it's drawn with all these flourishes that they bring into animation. It works in animation, but it doesn't. It's not a thing for live action, right? Unless you're like Scott Pilgrim or some shit, and you sort of make it a bit as like it's a bit and part of the movie, boom, crash, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the characters are just super likable, especially the casting is top notch, especially the character playing Luffy. Just committed utterly, like he was born to play this character, I think. Visually it's surprisingly good as well. I think that there's a mix of real world stuff like the boats and on set locations and a mix of green screen or CGI elements there and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think the use of special effects have all been really, really good so far. And I'm keen to finish off those last two episodes. Yeah, really, really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I really love this. I finished the season. I had limited knowledge of One Piece. I've watched the first 15 episodes before I started watching this. I put on a couple extra after, because see how long I go. After this, I just wanted more. So I mean, whatever you can get,
Watch something else. Come on, don't.
they managed to strike the right tone, which I feel like they were somehow able to make this over the top world kind of believable. Because there is so much incredible ridiculousness about so much that they do. Like Dylan said, I think the casting is, the casting team here have done a fantastic job finding each character who kind of fit perfectly for what they wanted, or what was needed. Yeah, Anuki, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, who plays Luffy. Just fantastic. Just so often, like these super optimistic, like people, or like super optimistic dum-dums, like Luffy could be like super annoying, or his whole shtick about telling everybody he's going to be king of the pirates could get super old, but he's just very endearing and likable. Yeah, I know from what little I've seen of the anime, they tone some stuff down and most reset things at different places and kind of change the order of events that happen. There's a lot more flashbacks than there are in the show. I will say that was one of my major things. I did not like the kid who played Luffy in the flashbacks. I didn't think he was very good. But yeah, I think everything kind of worked, and they stuck as true to the source material as they could while making sure it functioned as a live action show. My only other complaint or nick against the show is I feel like it doesn't feel like they have spent enough time together for the relationship or bonds or the connection they have by the end of the season. I think you could have come up with ways to make it seem like they've had more adventures than they actually have. It seems like this all takes place over the course of a week, and they've all just suddenly become family in the course of 1 week.
I think
someone is committing their life to.
I think
the
you're
other.
just supposed to assume that there's all that sailing time they just skip over where they're just on the boat between.
I guess, but you could just add something in to make it seem like they've been doing stuff together.
I guess so. But that's
know.
how I take it. It's like I'm like,
No, I completely read it that way as well. But I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that. But yeah, some of the craziness, some of the stuff just shouldn't have worked. The stuff with Zoro and the 3 swords, him sticking one in his mouth, that shouldn't work. It does. It's crazy.
you're gonna complain about the Pokemon now, are you?
I mean, no, he's not walking through any doors, so I mean, it's fine. He can freely drop it. He doesn't keep it in his mouth. He doesn't not become that Pokemon when he doesn't have it in his mouth. You know.
I want to clarify that Pokemon drops the sword too. You just don't.
Yeah, and then what happens when he doesn't have the sword anymore?
Bite.
Dumb Pokemon.
Bites.
But yeah, I think they hit a lot of the emotional beats and that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm excited to hear what you think of the last 2 episodes, especially knowing barely anything about it. But just visually so incredible. Like, we knew they built like a lot of the ships and the sets, but still to see them like in camera, incredible. There's the fish people here as well. They're all prosthetics. None of that CGI, which is crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. It's why it actually looks good.
It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the stories in here are like short stories about some of the flashbacks are really compelling. Whether it's like Sanji's like backstory as to how he got to meet the chef.
Cannibalism and shit, man.
I mean,
dark.
it's like I was like, open up the episode and like Netflix is in the corner. It's like violence, self-harm. I'm like, okay, it's kind of, that's a weird warning. Nope. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think it might be up there for one of the top shows I watched this year. It's been that enjoyable. And that much of a surprise, I think. Yeah. So yeah, everybody check out One Piece. Dylan, I saw that you've been watching Exo Kitty.
I have.
The All the Boys spin-off series.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm liking it. I think it's very Korean drama, like if you've ever caught anything of a Korean drama, or dubbed, or even like a Japanese fucking drama. To be honest, if you've ever, like, I remember when I had a sub to Crunchyroll, and I would sometimes put on the Japanese dubs of the melodramas and stuff on there. It's yeah. I was like, this is not for me, but sure. It's like that. So the series follows Kitty, who's what's up? What you said her name? What was her name? Fucking the character. Lara Jane, there you go. Her sister from the same actress from the films, those 3 films, of which the first one was the best one by far. And this follows the her character coming over to. She travels to what's the fucking city?
Korea.
Korea. No, but what the city? Seoul. Thank you, Seoul. She travels to Seoul she basically applies to get into an exclusive school there for a year, whatever you call it, where you go to another country for a year, sort of exchange student thing. And she does that because her boyfriend is there, her long distance boyfriend, Day, who's from I don't remember, one of the films as well. So I don't actually remember if it's the same
The third
actor.
one.
I never looked. The third one, yeah.
Pretty sure.
Never bothered to look if it was the same actor. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter. According to IMDb, no, it's not. So they've had this long distance relationship. When she gets there, goes to surprise him, doesn't tell him it's there. Surprise, he is dating another girl. What the fuck? And now she's like, should I say? Should I go? Insert song, insert drama. It's all there. It's very Gen Z, very like teen romance sort of stuff. It is super light. There's not like much depth to it. But if all of that, like, I feel like you could take one look at the poster and go, yeah, I'll watch that. Like, if you look at the poster and go, that looks like something I would hate, then there you go. Like, it's definitely, I don't want to say it's great, but it's definitely very light, very fluffy, very enjoyable from certain aspects. Shout out to what's his name? Peter Fernworld's in this.
Yeah.
Aussie actor who I think I've watched nearly everything he's been in now. No, I have. Yep. Apart from Young Rock, one episode, I've watched everything he's in. So he was in Uncredited Kong Skull Island. Seen that. He's in Bump as one of the series regulars. Watched all of that. He was in Players, of course. We loved him as Forsyth in that, and now
Yep.
he's in this. And in this, he plays the Australian teacher at the school.
Yep.
So, yep. So quite fun, but yeah.
Exciting.
Mm.
So yeah, let's check that out. All right, that's everything on Watch History. Let's move into a little bit of film news. This week was a big one for Swifties because Taylor Swift announced Thursday morning on Instagram that Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, will be theatrically presented in nearly all domestic and international theaters for 4 weeks beginning October 13th, which caused all hell to break loose. Apparently, already cinemas in the States have been selling out and creating delays at exhibitor pre-sale websites. So interestingly, this movie is being released in America through AMC's distributor arm, not any production company. So no, like Disney or Warner Brothers or any of those, Universal. Apparently, something that they did not tell any of the distributors. Apparently this came to a surprise to several studios, including Universal, who were looking at releasing the movie, coming to an agreement. They didn't find out until they saw the Instagram post. Dylan, what do you think about them bypassing distribution companies, going just straight to the cinemas to release it?
Cool. Good for them, you know what I mean? Like, good for them. Was it? You need distributors, you need publishers for a lot of things because you're unable to get stuff out there. If you're in a position where you can just bypass that and you're a Taylor Swift and you want to put out your live concert, you don't need a middle arm. You don't need that distributor there. This isn't a change in the industry. This isn't a swift change, if you would. It is just because it's Taylor Swift. It's not doesn't mean anything.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right. It's just like a one-off. This isn't something that potentially happened, and it only became a possibility because the America dropped their antitrust laws to let distributors open. They could open their own cinemas if they want, and now cinemas could do distributing as well. So that's really interesting. It's been interesting to see the response by some of the studios. Universal previously had their film The Exorcist Believer releasing on October 13th, and they moved that to October 6th. Of course, that is neither cheap nor optimal. Advanced marketing already had that original date with advertising committed. Bleecker Street also changed the date for Meg Ryan's What Happens Later to November 3rd. And then the next week, Paramount plans the wide release of Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon ahead of its Apple streaming date. Of course, they announced that Killers would skip a October 6th limited release and would now release wide on October 20th. So it looks like everybody's kind of moving out of the way of Taylor Swift. Here's an interesting one. So finally, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, may force clarity on a long-simmering box office issue. What is a movie? This clearly will be a major contributor to theaters' bottom lines, but should pre-recorded events like concerts, operas, and plays be included in box office statistics? Dylan, what are your thoughts on this issue?
Like that's phrased as a what are your thoughts on this issue?
What are your thoughts on this question? When we look at the end of the year, should this be on Box Office Mojo's list of top 10 movies?
It's hard because ultimately I would like to know how much it does, but I personally wouldn't care to rank it among the movies. You know, it's the same as our Trakt list at the end of the year. I like to know how many AEW fucking episodes and movies I watched. I would love to just click a button and get them all out of my TV and movie lists. Like, I appreciate I can track them, you know. I know it's a TV show. Just don't care. At the end of the year, I just wish I could delete them from those stats. So I would love a world where it's like, cool, like, yep, here's the top 10 movies. This is what it is. box office sales, ticket sales of everything that happened at cinemas includes this, because I've also paid to go watch Doctor Who premieres at cinemas, and not to say they'll ever be in box office premieres, but if that my local cinema was looking at their ticket sales, stuff like that, music events that
Yeah.
they put on, Andre Rio events and shit like that, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
People go love to watch that shit. So, ultimately, it's definitely not a movie, but it does make money, and it is a box office number.
Yeah. I mean, it's a concert film, so I mean, they filmed it.
Cool.
I guess, and it's being shown in a cinema, so it's a movie, right?
I mean, it's technically it falls under documentary, I guess. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so I'm happy. Let them see it. I think the weirdest thing for me is they're releasing it in October, which is still touring this show. Like, she's not coming to Australia till, I want to say, February next year.
It doesn't matter. No one's going to watch this and go, don't need to see it now.
But why would you release it now and not when... Well, I guess you release it now because it's like the height of the excitement around the show. And I guess it's like maybe at the end of the American period. So it's like, now you've got something to remember it by. But yeah, really interesting, like the way they've gone about this. And like, apparently they paid the director like a couple of $1 million, like $20 million to come film the show. It's not exactly clear how it's going to be shown. Like, is it just a still from like, I assume it's not like a hard cam 20 meters back. It's just that's the show. I'm sure it'll be a little bit more artistic.
6 drones, 10 helicopters.
I mean, they can afford that many, Just pull everybody's camera footage. You'll find the right angle at once, But yeah, definitely interesting. It'll be interesting to see the box office numbers, because I assume they will release numbers. Like, and if based on, like, they're saying the pre-sale numbers are better than Avengers Endgame, which is ridiculous. But we all know Swifties are crazy. Only other news, Marvel has shuffled its TV calendar dates for the rest of the year. Of course, we all know Marvel, bunch of Disney Plus shows were meant to be releasing later this year, and pretty much all of them moved except for Loki. Of course, Loki Season 2 will still release October 6th. Of course, it's set to star Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Only like a month. The second season of the Emmy Award-winning What If series will debut around Christmas Day, although it should be noted the animated show is not based on holiday themes. Echo, the spin-off from last year's Hawkeye, was originally meant to be released on November 29th and has now been shifted to 2024. X-Men 97, the animated series that acts as a spiritual and tonal continuation of the 90s series that aired on Fox, was first announced in 2021, planned to be released in the American fall 2023. It's now set to be released early 2024. Agatha, the WandaVision spin-off starring Catherine Hahn, was originally announced for winter 2023, but has now been pushed back to early fall 2024, where it will serve as a lead-up to the Halloween holiday, which is probably smart. The show, which completed its filming before the strikes, was previously titled Agatha, House of Harkness, and then Agatha, Coven of Chaos, before falling under the current name, Agatha, Darkhold Diaries. The Ironheart TV series starring Riri Williams, who was first introduced in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, was to have dropped this fall, but has been completely taken off the schedule. It's finished shooting, but its completion is affected by the strikes. Also interesting to note, Daredevil Born Again and Wonder Man both have had to pause as in mid-production. I didn't even know about the one-man show currently being made. I also didn't know it's going to star Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Right.
Interesting that all this stuff is kind of getting moved. Not surprising.
No, not surprising.
But yeah. I mean, maybe the animated stuff being actually moved, like, do you really need the actors to promote the animated shows? I don't know. they would just release them. Maybe they just spreading out their content. It's like kind of future proof in case this strike goes on longer. But yeah,
I mean, if they reach a stage where they got no movies, they'll do what happened last time, which is you'll just have a year of TV shows, and then like they could spread that out. And they remember when they shuffled them around because of COVID, and they were like, well, it's just TV shows, and you had stuff that wasn't supposed to release for like 6 months coming out a month after the last TV show, just because they wanted to get some shit out there.
Yeah. So that's what's happening on the Marvel front. We'll wait and see whether it'll be interesting. Do you think So Echo was meant to be one of the shows that drops all at once. Could they, like, if it gets bad enough, split it up, make it a weekly release?
I mean, people will watch it still, but also complain and feel like they're trying to get you to subscribe to Disney Plus longer, sort of thing. So.
I mean, that's the whole point. That's the whole strategy.
Yeah. We know that.
But people, they're stupid.
People are stupid.
All right, let's move into giving some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes of this episode. Kicking things off with Rustin, directed by George C. Wolfe, starring Common Domingo, Chris Rock, Glyn Turman, Al Amin, CCH Pounder, Michael Potts, Jeffrey Wright, and Audra McDonald. Bayard Rustin, advisor to Martin Luther King, dedicates his life to the quest for racial equality, human rights, and worldwide democracy. However, as an openly gay black man, he is all but erased from the civil rights movement he helped build. Tell him, what do you think of this biopic trailer?
Coleman, Domingo, double thumbs up. Looks good. Keen to watch.
I'll also give it 2 thumbs up. I think the surprising thing for me is he doesn't sound like Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, but he's still good.
He's still good, but it's like it's very odd to hear him with a different tone and pitch. I think that's the thing. It's like it's a higher pitch than his usual voice.
Like I still feel like it has that. I don't want to say an accent, like I don't know, cadence to his voice, maybe. I don't know, his delivery or something.
But yeah, looks like a really good biopic. Probably going to hit harder in the US than it does here, but yeah, looks really good. So it's releasing on Netflix 17th of November. Next trailer is for Love is in the Air, directed by Adrian Powers, starring Delta Goodrem, Joshua Sassy, Steph Tisdale, and Roy Billings. Dana Randall is an ultra-committed pilot for non-profit air service Fullerton Airwaves, located in picturesque far north Queensland. Along with their father Jeff and mechanic BFF Nikki, the small team works together to provide the essential air services the local island communities rely on. When the London-based ITCM financial representative William is sent to Fullerton Airways to review the organization's financials, Dana welcomes him, aware that they rely heavily on the company's subsidies. What Dana doesn't know is that William's audit is to confirm the business's financial struggles and prepare for its closure. As William spends time with Dana and the island community, his loyalty is torn. He is falling for Dana, and the feelings seem mutual. That is, until she accidentally discovers his true purpose. Dylan, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago and laughed. What did you think of the trailer?
I cannot believe that was the length of the synopsis for that film. I don't know. One up, one down. I mean, it's. I don't want to shit on it just because it's got a target audience. Obviously, it's very just straight sort of $5 romance novel about it. You know, I can't remember the name, but the girl that's in it, not Delta Goodrem, the other one.
I assume
like
that's
her.
Steph Tisdale.
Yeah, that one. She's I enjoy her. And then old mate, the older dude, Mick or Molly or something. He starts with M, I swear.
I'm pretty sure that's Roy Billing.
Roy Billing. Yes, no, I'm completely wrong. That guy. I enjoy both of them. The main dude, Delta Goodrem. What? Yeah, I don't know. It's not really for me. One up, one down, though. I guess.
Yeah, I agree. One up, one down. I think it looks really good, like visually, like using those 8K cameras to like make it look as good as possible. Make great advertisement for North Queensland. Like, look at how clear the water is. But yeah, it looks like every other romance movie we've kind of seen come through rom-com thing we've seen on Netflix. You can kind of guess the way the story's going to go and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you're the target audience for this, I'm sure it'll be a good time. So this releases on Netflix, the 29th of September. Next trailer, The Book of Clarence, directed by James Samuel, starring Lakeith Stanfield, Omar Sy, Anna Diop, RJ Sala, David Oyelowo, Michael Ward, Alfred Woodard, Tayana Taylor, Caleb McLaughlin, Eric Kofi Abrifa, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, James McAvoy, and Benedict Cumberbatch. A struggling down-his-luck man named Clarence living in 29 AD Jerusalem looks to capitalize on the rise of Jesus Christ by claiming to be a new Messiah sent by God in an attempt to free himself of death and to start a life of glory for himself. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Book of Clarence?
I don't think it was a good trailer. I'm going to double thumbs down on this one.
Whoa.
I didn't like the trailer at all. I feel like it was just a weirdly put together. I felt off. I felt like I was I don't know. There was something just about it. It felt like the whole trailer was like a skit. Like that was the trailer. Like it was a short. Like the trailer was the bit. The trailer was the thing. You know. Like I don't know. I didn't like the trailer. I didn't like the movie. Sure, I'm down to watch it. I think it could be interesting. I don't know anything about source material really, I guess, but I mean, I've heard of Jesus, but but otherwise, the trailer itself, I just something about it. Yeah, so I'm going to double thumbs down. I didn't like it.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed the trailer. I think it looks really good, interesting premise of, you know, a black man playing the role of Jesus, pretty much. So this is directed by James Samuel, whose previous one was The Harder They Fall. Do you remember that one on Netflix? Yeah. Cowboy one. Yeah, so it seems like that one he's tackled a Western with black people. This time he's tackling a biblical epic with black people. So
sure.
I think that was the thought process. Yeah, Lakeith Stanfield looks really good. Like him and Jay Sala, they look really good together. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I vibe with it, and Dylan did all that. Yeah. So this is releasing in cinemas on 22nd of February, 2024. Next trailer, What Happens Later, directed by Meg Ryan, starring Meg Ryan and David Duchovny. Ex-lovers reunite when they both become stranded in an airport overnight. They find themselves drawn together to revisit their past, discuss what could have been, and what may happen in the future. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for What Happens Later?
I'm going to one down. I very fittingly Meg Ryan romance feel about this one. Feels very much like an early 2000s.
Shocking.
It's
shocking that it feels like a Meg Ryan romance.
Feels like a Meg Ryan romance, early 2000s sort of vibes. But I think the chemistry between her and Duchovny in this trailer just sort of like, I just was like, I would happily watch them just talk for 90 minutes or whatever it is, like, and go through that. So yeah, I'll go one up, one down.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up. I like the chemistry. I think the most intriguing thing about it is, like, it doesn't what's happened at that airport. That doesn't seem like it's a normal airport. You know what I mean?
COVID.
Well, but the people on the loudspeaker are actually talking to them. You know, is it actually?
They're at the airport for Burning Man. Oh, I fucking crack myself up, don't I?
Those are real people, Dylan. Those are real people dealing with
tech millionaires aren't real people. What are you talking
about? No, like, you know, I get the feeling that there's going to be like a supernatural thing or something. Like
whoa, all right.
They both died at the same time, and they're stuck at the airport between life and death.
Well, that'd be deep.
Because what happens later, you know?
Yeah.
And later being after we leave this airport and move on to the afterlife. but I could be completely wrong. But yeah, I thought it looks really good, gives cool vibes. So yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. This is releasing now on November 3rd in the US. No Australian release date.
Okay.
Last trailer for this week, and it's a teaser trailer, but I need to add at least one other teaser trailer that was released this week. Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell, starring Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Alison Oliver, Archie Madekwe, and Carey Mulligan. Struggling to find his place at Oxford University, Oliver Quick finds himself drawn into the world of the charming aristocratic Felix Catton, who invites him to Saltburn, his eccentric family's sprawling estate, for a summer never to be forgotten. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Emerald Fennell's second film?
Very keen to watch this movie. Love all of the cast. Double thumbs down for the trailer.
Whoa!
I felt like
Did you just hate everything this week? You're just angry.
I'm just very angry this week. I was sick. You know? I was like, fuck this shit. You should have seen that I fucking gave it to someone at work. I tell you what, they made it all hyped. I was like, you motherfuckers like making the jokes about me. I'll fucking anyway. Double thumbs down.
No, 2 thumbs up from me. I know it's a teaser trailer, but I feel like it just hit the right vibes. Given the good impression, obviously it's got like Great Gatsby kind of like vibes and like story of this person from the outside coming into high society or like some like more exciting world than he's used to. I just feel like the music was like such a key point and like the dance. I just like the way they use that and they use the text. I thought it was really well put together trailer. So I would say fuck you, Dylan. And this is releasing in cinemas on 16th of November. All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
This week's top 3 is top 3 religious films. Dylan, do you have a guess as to why we're doing top 3 religious films this week?
Actually, hold on. What is your The Nun?
The Nun 2 released in cinemas.
Okay.
So top 3 religious movies.
I was like, you must be on Struggle Street this week.
I'm like that's a funny bit. That's it. Dylan, what's your number 3?
I was like, why are you religious? But sure, I was like, I don't question. I mean, you just fucking whatever you want to go with. My number 3, I went with. Now, it'll be really interesting to see how your fucking list comes together. My number 3, because again, no fucking clarification. I went with Mother, the Darren Aronofsky movie, starring Jennifer Lawrence. The movie's about more than religion, although religion plays a heavy theme in it, as does the world and Mother Nature, but it ultimately does count. Like for people, again, like I'm fucking spoil the movie, but by that I mean I will spoil the movie. Jennifer Lawrence literally plays the mother. Javier Bardem is like the man of the house. It's like the implication is like he's sort of, it's like creator, mother earth. By the end, you got all these people running around. You've got Adam and Eve there. You've got like it's all very religious backboned to it. I really enjoyed that movie. It is very tense and fucked up at times, but it worked for me. So I'm going number 3 for that, Mother.
Okay. My number 3.
Life of Brian. Dog. Okay.
Of course, the Monty Python film, doing a retelling of the birth of the life of Jesus Christ, but with Brian, and treating it with the tone that it deserves to be treated with. The tone and reverence that this story deserves to be treated with. Very funny, like,
he's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Like, iconic. So, yeah, that's my number 3. So, what's your number 2?
My number 2, Kevin Smith film, Dogma. Is about a it's about this character Bethany who sort of gets caught up in this whirlwind of angels and demons versus one another, where Ben Affleck and Matt Damon played Matt Damon are demons, and then you've got fucking
Are they?
Sorry, well, yeah, the angels, I guess, but I don't know. Depends where you fall on the side of history here, I guess. And then you've got fucking Alan Rickman is an angel. Late great, one of my favorite roles of him. Somehow Jay and Silent Bob get involved because it's a Kevin Smith film. It's very good. It's sort of Kevin Smith's, who was brought up very like Catholic, and he's still religious to this day, but it's sort of his take on, I guess, how weird religion can be at times and stuff like that. And he makes God a woman at the end, and it upset a bunch of people, which it still would today if this movie came out. So it's very funny. So yeah,
my number one is Dogma.
Okay.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I'm pretty sure it was the first Kevin Smith movie I watched. So a hell of an introduction. Just an amazing cast doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like you said, Alan Rickman's fantastic in this movie. Alanis Morissette being God, hilarious. They got a poop monster, so I mean, what more could you? How more religious could you want? Yeah, it's got the iconic Jesus with the double thumbs up. That should be the statue in every church. Dylan, what's your number one?
What's your number two?
My number two.
Well,
I said my number one is Dogma, so
yeah,
that's fine. I'll go number two. My number two, Bruce Almighty. Of course, Jim Carrey plays a weatherman who doesn't believe in God. And from memory, I don't remember exactly the setup, but he gets given God's powers for a period of time. God, played by Morgan Freeman, in the role he was born to play. Fantastic.
Did you watch the sequel? Did you ever watch the sequel with Steve Carell?
I did watch the sequel. It is very unmemorable, but
I didn't mind it from memory. So
I mean, smart, because Steve Carell was obviously in the first movie, and they're like, man, he's become a big star. Let's do a spin-off with him. Yeah, just a really enjoyable movie, which I feel like has really great pathos and heart to it, as well as being a hilarious Jim Carrey movie. So yeah, that's my number two. Dylan, what is your number one religious movie?
The number one religious movie is from the late great, recently passed away, William Friedkin, The Exorcist, 1973, original baby, the all-time one of the greatest horror movies ever. Fucking girl spinning her head around, throwing up everywhere, classic. People running out of cinema, ruin the lives of some people. My dad said he had nightmare for weeks as a kid when he tricked my nan into taking him and a friend, and my dad's friend actually cried and had to leave the cinema. I've heard great stories. So there's Exorcist, absolutely. All these other horror movies, including the one that apparently inspired this week's segment, The Nun 2, would not exist without The Exorcist. And yeah, William Friedkin also. I watched a bunch after he passed a couple of weeks ago, and just the amount of like funny clips and stuff I've been watching of him doing interviews and stuff. What a man! So
yeah, I think this is the most enjoyable top three of it.
It's like Ash is like comedy.
It's like of all the religious movies you could have, all the Passions of the Christs and Silence and all the like missionary ones.
I was nearly going to put I nearly in my short list, and I just scoped out. I nearly had in fourth place what's it called with Mark Ruffalo and
Spotlight. I was going to make that same joke.
It's about religion, right?
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
I want to watch The Nun 2. Which I should be watching Thursday. So good. Before recording, cinema times are up. I can go watch it. Yay. They're actually showing that, which is good.
Was there any doubt?
I mean, I had a little bit. I've had some bad luck recently. No. Don't know what's going on over there. But yes, I'll be watching that on too. Keen to watch that. TV side of things. The Changeling over on Apple TV starts this week.
Yes. Similar. I do want to see the Changeling, at least the first episode. Just to get the taste, little taste. Man, like here's Danfield, bunch of stuff earlier. Good for him.
What a worker.
Also, I'm Groot season 2, bunch of shorts releasing today at day of release. We will probably have an episode up at All New Marvelcast going over the episodes. And then on the film front, Biosphere, the film starring Mark Duplass and Sterling K. Brown, will be releasing, at least here in Brisbane. So I'm hoping to watch that, but also recommend people go out, check Theatre Camp and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a good week for movies. Let us know.
Out, isn't it?
Let us know what you want to watch this week by going to explosion.com/Twitter. And let us know on X. Or go to explosion.com/Discord and let us know on Discord. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars. Anyone can leave 5 stars. Or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time. Keep watching stuff, I guess.